After a long day of hunger and exhaustion, the old woman sat quietly, just waiting for a single bite of food. That's when the waitress's 3 little daughters stepped forward and offered her the meal they had saved for themselves. When the waitress saw this, her eyes widened in disbelief, but she had no idea that this one small act of kindness would soon make the whole town bow in gratitude before them. Beside the brick wall near the trash bin sat an old woman. Her hair was tangled gray, her clothes torn, her eyes hollow with hunger. She held her knees to her chest, whispering softly to herself. "Mommy?" Lily tugged on Linda's sleeve. "Is that lady okay?" Linda turned and her heart clenched. "Oh dear," she whispered. The old woman looked up weakly. "I'm sorry. I'm just resting here. I haven't eaten in 2 days." For a moment, no one spoke. The girls just stood there, 3 tiny hearts breaking all at once. Then Mia, the eldest, took a breath. "Wait here," she said. Before Linda could ask, Mia ran back inside the diner. The waitress, who'd spent her morning serving others, suddenly realized her daughter was about to do the same. Mia rushed to the counter, grabbed a small lunchbox she'd kept under the register, a sandwich, a few fries, and half a muffin she'd saved for herself. It wasn't much, but it was everything she had. When she came back out, she knelt beside the woman and opened the box. "Here," she said softly. "It's not big, but it's for you." The woman's lips trembled. "Oh, sweetheart, I can't." But Sophie crouched beside her and whispered, "Please eat, ma'am. We want you to." Lily nodded, her tiny hand patting the woman's arm. "It's okay. Mommy says sharing makes hearts happy." Tears filled the woman's eyes. She took the food with shaking hands. When she took that first bite, her face softened. Relief, gratitude, life. "You girls, you're angels," she whispered. Linda stood behind them, hands covering her mouth. She had always feared her long hours would make her children distant. But seeing them there, sharing their food, their compassion, she felt something swell in her chest. Pride, deep aching pride. The woman finished the meal slowly, savoring every crumb. "Thank you," she said. "You've given me more than food. You've given me hope." Linda walked over, crouched down, and touched the woman's shoulder. "You're not alone anymore. Come inside. Let's get you something warm to drink." Inside the diner, Linda poured her a mug of coffee, added extra sugar, and sat across from her. The girls crowded around the table, chattering softly. The woman told them her name was Margaret, a retired teacher. She had lost her husband last winter, then her home a few months later. "My pension barely covers medicine," she said. "Sometimes I sleep by the church." Sophie's eyes watered. "That's so sad," she whispered. Linda bit her lip. "No one should go through that alone," she said. As Margaret sipped her coffee, she watched the girls, their innocent smiles, their mother's tired but gentle face, and her own eyes filled with something she hadn't felt in a long time: belonging. Linda packed a small bag of leftover food and slipped a few dollars into Margaret's hand. "Take this," she said quietly. "Come back tomorrow. We'll find a way to help." Margaret hesitated, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You don't even know me." Linda smiled softly. "Kindness doesn't need to know a name." That night, as they walked home, the girls held Linda's hands tightly. The streetlights flickered, the air cool. "Mommy?" Lily asked. "Was that lady an angel?" Linda smiled faintly. "Maybe she was sent to remind us something, honey." Mia looked up at her. "That even small kindness matters?" Linda nodded. "Exactly. But none of them knew this simple act, this shared meal by the trash bins, would lead to something that would shock their entire town. The next morning, Sonny's diner was busier than usual. Something about the air felt different, lighter, warmer, like the whole town had heard a secret of goodness and come to feel it for themselves. Regulars sat at their usual booths, whispering softly. "Did you hear about Linda's girls?" One woman murmured to another. "Fed a homeless woman behind the diner yesterday. Such angels." A man at the counter nodded. "You don't see hearts like that anymore." Linda tried to keep her head down, cheeks pink. She didn't like attention, but deep down her heart swelled with quiet pride. Her daughters had shown her, and everyone else, that kindness still existed in the smallest corners of the world. Around noon, just as Linda was refilling a coffee mug, a deep rumble echoed outside, the sound of a car engine far too smooth for their small-town streets. Heads turned as a sleek black Mercedes stopped in front of the diner. The door opened and a tall man stepped out, dressed in a crisp gray suit, every movement calm and deliberate. Conversations fell silent. Forks froze midair. The man pushed open the diner door, the little bell chiming softly as he stepped inside. His eyes swept the room until they landed on Linda behind the counter. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low, controlled but carrying a certain weight. "Are you Linda Matthews?" Linda's heart skipped. "Yes. I'm Linda," she replied carefully, wiping her hands on her apron. "How can I help you, sir?" He offered a faint smile, the kind that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Actually," he said, pausing for a breath, "you already did. You helped my mother yesterday." Before Linda could answer, the door opened again, and there she was. The same frail old woman who had sat by the trash bins less than 24 hours ago. But she didn't look the same. Her hair was clean, brushed neatly over her shoulders. Her torn sweater had been replaced by a soft gray coat. And most of all, her eyes, once dim with hunger and despair, now sparkled with light. "Linda," the woman said softly, voice trembling, "I told my son about you, and about your daughters. I needed him to meet the family who fed me when I had nothing left." Linda's lips parted in disbelief. "You mean he's your son?" The man stepped forward and nodded. "Yes, my name's Richard Cole. I've been searching for my mother for weeks. She'd been missing from her assisted home. We searched every nearby town, every shelter." He swallowed hard. "I was terrified something had happened to her." His voice softened as he turned toward his mother. "Then she told me how a waitress and 3 little girls shared their food, their hearts, and gave her hope when no one else even stopped to look." Linda blinked rapidly, tears already forming. "Oh, we didn't do anything special," she said quietly. "We just couldn't walk away." Richard shook his head. "You may think that, but you have no idea what it meant. When I found my mother yesterday, she didn't just look alive, she looked at peace. I asked her what changed, and she said, 3 little angels reminded me that the world still has kind souls." His voice cracked at the word angels. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. "I own Cole Enterprises," he explained. "We supply and support small-town diners and local businesses across the state. And after hearing what happened here, I made a decision. From this day on, Sonny's Diner will receive a full 1-year supply partnership. All your food, your ingredients, your equipment cost, fully covered. Consider it a small thank you for saving my mother's life and dignity." The diner fell silent. Even the ceiling fan seemed to pause. Then came the first gasp, then murmurs, then soft applause from the tables around. Linda's hands trembled as she tried to speak. "Sir, that's too generous. You don't need to—" Richard raised a hand gently. "Please don't stop me. You didn't do it for attention or reward. That's exactly why you deserve one. The world needs more people like you. People who don't wait to care." By now, the girls had peeked out from the kitchen door, curiosity written all over their faces. Mia held Sophie's hand. Little Lily clung to her mother's apron, wide-eyed. "Mommy," she whispered softly, "is that the lady we gave food to?" Linda smiled through her tears. "Yes, baby. And that's her son. He came to say thank you." Lily tilted her head, whispering, "She looks happy now." Linda nodded, her throat tight. "That's because kindness fills the kind of hunger food alone can't." Margaret stepped closer to the girls, tears in her eyes. "Sweethearts," she said in a trembling voice, "I want you to know something. Yesterday morning I had lost all hope. I had nothing left. But when you shared your food with me, you didn't just feed my body and you fed my heart. You made me believe in goodness again." She looked at Linda, smiling weakly. "And you, dear. You raised them right. You gave them more than manners. You gave them compassion." The room erupted in soft sniffles. A man at the counter wiped his eyes with a napkin. From that day on, Sonny's Diner changed forever. The story spread like wildfire through town. Local newspapers wrote headlines like, "3 sisters feed a stranger," "Inspire a community." Reporters visited, cameras rolled, and people from nearby towns drove in just to see the diner where kindness lived. Business bloomed. Linda's boss decided to give her a share of the profits. And every morning, Margaret returned, not as a hungry stranger, but as part of their family. She helped clean tables, folded napkins, and sometimes told stories to the girls after school. The little corner table by the window became Margaret's spot, where customers often stopped just to chat with her. Months later, the diner got a new sign, a hand-carved wooden plaque that hung right beside the door. It read, "Kindness served here." Underneath, engraved in gold letters, dedicated to Mia, Sophie, and Lily, the hearts that fed hope. Linda stood before it one evening, closing time quiet around her. She ran her fingers over the words, tears blurring her vision. Behind her, the girls giggled with Margaret at the counter. Sharing a plate of fries, Linda smiled softly and whispered, "That's what real wealth looks like. Love that comes back when you least expect it." And outside the diner, the neon sign flickered to life in a tiny light in the dark, glowing with the simple truth that kindness never dies. Kindness doesn't wait for the right time, and it just happens pure and unplanned. 3 little girls gave away a small meal without expecting anything, and their love rippled through an entire town. They reminded everyone that compassion isn't about money or status, it's about heart. Because when you give from love, life always finds a way to give it back, bigger, brighter, and more beautiful than before.